And we're back!
Hello. Merry Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I guess I should have said Merry Christmas. Sorry about that. We didn't make the video live, and so we're having trouble sharing it. So now we are back again. So we hope that if you were there for the first part, you're coming back for the second. So welcome. We're reliving the tradition. Oh, hey, Natalie, Crist. Bring you in on camera?
No.
Okay. We're reviving the tradition. We hope that it kind of catches on and that people start maybe bringing the ghost back into it a little bit. Now, Natalie.
Yes, sir.
I have seen over the past week, and I don't think we're trendsetters. It's kind of one of those things where it's almost discouraging that there have been a lot of people talking about the paranormal aspect of Christmas over the past week, like in posts and things like that. And so I don't know if we just kind of caught on to a trend, or there's been something that's been kind of growing and we were just kind of there at the right time.
Well, I don't really follow things like that like you do, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. You're just going to have to trust me then, I guess. One of the reasons behind this is that it used to be that Christmas time or winter solstice and this time of year was the time that people feared the most. And so it was the time that they told ghost stories. It's the time that they were scared of the world around them and had to rationalize it. And so stories of ghosts and goblins and monsters were very popular until they got shifted into Halloween instead, at least especially for us here in the States.
Which you explained more in our last.
Right, so if you want to know more about that, you can follow up. I was just giving people back. We can't assume that anyone listens to our show at all, ever. So if they're going to do this, at least we have to make sure that they're up to speed with what is going on. So, like I said, if you weren't here for the first video, we are trying this on our phones so that we can bring people in. So if over the course of us doing this, you want to share a ghost story of your own that has to do with Christmas or is Christmas themed somehow, can be true, can not be true if you don't want it to be, please feel free to just mention in the comments, and then we will do our little swipe thing and see if we can get you on live. So if you want. If you don't want, then just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Perfect.
So here's my first question to you.
Sure, go.
Wow, yeah, go. Why are you yelling at me?
I don't know. Okay. Christmas spirit.
Christmas spirit. Okay. The Christmas spirit is you hide yourself and then yell at me the entire episode. Should we say whether or not the stories that we're going to be telling are true?
No.
No?
I think you should totally let them guess.
Totally let the audience figure out whether or not we're full of crap?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, should we do it like that old TV show? Now, as soon as I say old TV show, I get this look from Natalie. That's not really a look. I get the look from Natalie of, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. But there used to be this really great show on television called Fact or Fiction. It might have been called Beyond Reality Fact or Fiction. And they would give you 5 stories. And you would at the end have to figure out which ones were real and which ones were not real. No? Jonathan Frakes was the host.
We can try.
Charles Broden's...
so a little...
Wait, what's the older Broden? Josh Broden's father was the host, and then it was... Huh? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Sure. So you can also vote... As we're telling the stories, you can actually vote on whether you think the stories that we're telling you are completely made up. One I'm going to tell you, already it's going to be made up. I can tell you right now. But the other ones, you can vote whether or not you think we're lying a little bit, or whether it's true, or whether we've kind of used something. And I was always great at that show because they were urban legends.
Okay, wait, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
The stories that you have discovered, have you made them up? Have you authored these stories? Are these stories people told you, or are these stories that you found online?
Well, isn't that just what we were just talking about?
No, I'm just saying, the ones in general.
I will present all the stories I tell. I will present as if they were told to me, unless I say, oh, this story happened to me. Okay. Make sense?
10-4.
10-4. And we will figure out whether or not Fact or Fiction Christmas edition. Beyond Reality Christmas edition. Okay. So... do you want to start, or should I start?
You should start.
I should start.
You should start. Get the ball rolling.
Okay. So long ago, I moved down to Florida in 1999, in August of 1999. And I essentially did it so my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, was finishing up college at UCF. And I came down to be with her as she finished college and maybe start a new life. Spoiler alert, it didn't work out. I said I would never come back to Florida again.
See how that worked out.
Yeah. So
10 years later.
10 years later. So I was working at the Huntington Learning Center. I was the assistant director of the Huntington Learning Center. And I always think of that when I think of this story because my godchild was about to be born.
Aww.
I know, sweet, huh? So, what?
I just realized I lost an earring tonight.
A ghostly earring?
No.
Then don't interrupt my story.
Sorry.
So, I was working at Huntington Learning Center when I got the call that she had been born.
Okay.
That's why I always associate her birth with the Huntington Learning Center, because I found out, like, I was so excited. No cell phone or anything, so they had to, like, call, like, the actual Huntington Learning Center line to say it. And there was nothing that was more exciting to me than going to see my niece. Like, it was, like, ridiculously happy, like... And so we decided to make the trip up to Massachusetts for Christmas. So rather than fly, we hopped in the car because we had all these Christmas presents and everything. And we made the drive, the 1,500 miles.
True.
I know, from Orlando to Woburn, Massachusetts. Gianna, I hope you're listening. I know that you were just on Snapchat a little bit ago being lifted. So we decided to make the trip. We decided to drive because of the presents. And if you've ever made that ride, if you're driving with someone, it's a lot easier than when you're not. But at some point, you have to make the decision of whether you're going to stop or whether you're going to straight drive through. Mm-hmm. What I remember most about that trip, until the story that I'm about to tell you, is that we got stuck on one of the bridges. And I don't really know my New York bridges very well, so I'm not sure if it was the George Washington. But I remember us being stuck on there, and I remember really, really considering what I was going to be doing with that Pepsi bottle that was on the floor. Because we got stuck in traffic for hours, right? So you make the decision to keep on going, just push through. I just wanted to see my niece. I just wanted to see my godchild so badly for the first time. And we got stuck in New York for hours. And I remember thinking, well, like, all I want to do is see her. And so we finally got through, and we got to Connecticut. And by the time we got to Connecticut, it was just about midnight. So it technically was December 24th. We decided to stop. We had to get some gas. We needed coffee badly. And so we went to the bathroom. We got coffee. We got, recharged, got some snackety snacks, I'm sure, and walked back to the car. And by the time we got back into the car, it was pretty much a blizzard. Oh. I mean, it was near, like, whiteout conditions. I don't know if you've ever driven in the snow before.
No, never. Thank God.
So it is, it's pretty crazy, and it's pretty, you always think you can outrun it, especially at the beginning, right? You'd be like, I'm just going to get here before it starts to stick.
Okay.
By the time we were on the actual highway, so by the time we got back on the highway, we were sliding all over the place.
Oh, God, how terrifying.
And it was literally one of those places where now it's December. It's like, Mary and Joseph trying to find a place. Like, what are the odds we're going to be able to keep in mind?
She wasn't pregnant.
No, shut up.
With immaculate conception.
No, definitely not. But, like, imagine, like, there's no cell phones, right? So how do you find a hotel in the middle of a blizzard? And keep in mind that, like, if we could get there, it's not far. You know what I'm saying? It's like seeing the light, and we're just going to push through. We're just going to push through. It'll pass. It didn't pass. It was just getting heavier. We were sliding all over the road. All of a sudden, these lights appeared behind us. Bright lights, like those high bright lights.
Like a big semi-truck?
Like a big semi-truck kind of thing, right? Like that bearing down on us, which, of course, you go like this when that happens, right? And so the truck flew by us.
Oh.
And then, like, wove into our lane.
Oh, gosh.
It was a plow. Right? the plow lowered its thing and was literally plowing in a path for us.
Wow.
All the way through Connecticut, right? So we're driving all the way through Connecticut with this plow right in front of us, clearing the path.
That's
smooth
amazing.
sailing, right? So we get to the state line, right? You get to the state line, and so here's the state line. We drive past it. Like we drive, it's this right towards the state line, and there's like a little turn in the road. Like just like not a turn, but like just like a little, a curve, right? In other parts of the country, roads often have curves where it go over mountains and things. And so we got there, and we make it, and we're at the state line, truck completely disappears.
No way.
Right? As soon as we turned that corner with it, and we pretty much took it, like, we're not going fast because it was ahead of us, you know what I'm saying, like maybe 100 yards ahead of us. It took that turn, it took that curve. When we came back around, it was completely gone.
There was no turnoffs?
There was no turnoffs, no anything, and we were not going fast enough that it could have gone anywhere. And we're talking, it's like a blizzard. Like, you could see things in front of you. Like, you could see lights in front of you. It was like nothing. And it had seen the whole way, and the pavement, Merry Christmas Eve,
that just gave me
the
chills.
Pavement completely stopped.
Wow.
And maybe 20 minutes into Massachusetts, the snow completely stopped. The roads weren't bad, and we were able to get all the way to Woburn with, like, no problem whatsoever.
That's amazing. You had a guardian angel.
We had a guardian angel that night. It was really,
like,
really
how do you
weird.
not believe in guardian angels after that? Seriously.
How do we not believe
That
in
was
how
a
do
guardian
I?
angel, yeah.
Well, here's the weird thing. A little bit added to the story. I don't know what this does for the story, but we found out later, years later, that my father-in-law, my ex-father-in-law, who wasn't involved with us at all at that time, right? He was working that highway in that section of Connecticut as a plow driver. Like years before we ever met him. So was he our ghostly guardian angel?
Was he deceased by the time that you were doing that?
No, but I'm saying like somehow. No. Now if he had said like, oh, there was a psychic connection and like.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that a true story or is that not a true story? Thank you very much for the comment on the show. I don't know if you heard earlier, but I got it so that I wouldn't be eaten by monsters. So listen.
I think I vote true story.
You vote that that's a true
story. I vote
story.
true story.
Now, what makes you think that that's a true story? What are the elements? Maybe can we lean this back a little bit so I don't have to keep moving?
You don't have to because I don't want to be on
Why don't you come a little bit further in? While you're talking, you can come in.
Okay. So the detail in which you told the story makes me think that it was true.
Now, if I had said we had stopped at Cumbies, that would have been a better detail.
I don't know what that is.
Say that again?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Cumberland Farms, which is actually where we did stop, Cumberland Farms.
Okay.
Or did we? True story or not?
Vote below.
Vote. Put your response in now. Hey, Alan, what's going on, brother? Would you like a story now?
Sure.
Sure, okay.
But I haven't read through these yet, so he's given me a couple of printouts to read.
But they're not sure whether they're real or not real.
Right, no idea. Haven't read through these at all yet. So wait, give me a second to
Okay, so I guess I have to say another story.
No, say something else.
Say something else. I will say hello to my sister who is watching. I hope that your evening was amazing. Your gravy made me jealous. My eggplant kicked butt pretty much. And my calzone all went, but I hope that your Christmas Eve went just as well.
So the first one is called The Christmas Church Ghost.
Okay.
I never really believed in supernatural stuff, but this incident made me believe otherwise. This was about 9 years ago in Samoa, and there's no date on this. Oh, I'm sorry, yes there is, March of 2015. I was playing hide and seek with the other little kids from my mom's village of Satua, Western Samoa. I was quite young then, so I always followed my older cousin around.
So this isn't you, because you're not Samoan, right?
Or am I?
Or are you?
It was the middle of the night, and most of the kids were used to hiding. Anyway, we all went to hide. Since we were all hiding in the graveyard, we found our way around in the light that the church cast into the graveyard. We all hid in the shadows and waited for the boy. We could all hear the boy coming, so we kept quiet. This is a very odd oddly written story. The boy was
My
pretty
sister
loud.
says you look cute.
Thanks. So we watched what he was making a fuss about. He had walked into the church as he thought that his brother was hiding there. As he walked into the church, he later told us he saw a boy standing right in front of the altar. He didn't know if it was his brother because the boy's back was turned. He ran up and tapped the boy on the shoulder, and as soon as he did this, the strange boy disappeared, and our friend fainted.
That's the whole story?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's more. We found out later that the boy's brother had been at home the whole time, and he hadn't been to church at all. What really scared us was that the boy who fainted has been ill since that night, and he hasn't recovered to this day, 9 years later. Whoever it was in the church must have been pretty mad that we kids had disturbed him. That was from Paulina T.
Or was it?
Or was it? It was a very oddly written choice.
It was.
It really was.
I mean, these are the better stories.
Oh, okay, so I'm just going to go with the better stories for next
so
time.
Put your vote in right now. Is Natalie's story, which we gathered online, is it a true ghost story of Christmas Eve, or is it a fake ghost story? Did we completely make it up? Beyond reality, fact or fiction? Put your votes in now. I'm going to pretend like it's like this.
Is that your final answer?
Is that your final answer?
All right, you go.
Where
Your
you go?
turn.
That's kind of a creepy story.
It's a weird story.
Yeah.
And poorly written.
All right, so our next story, Lorene says fact, but we're not going to give the answers until the end.
all
Okay.
right.
So you're going to have to wait till the end of the episode. just the way Jonathan Frakes used to do it. Curse you, Commander Riker. Do any of those things make sense? Do any of those references?
No.
There was a TV show called Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Can you
Okay,
just
so all right,
focus
here's the
on
next
Christmas ghostly tales, please?
one. Right, here's the next ghostly Christmas tale. There was a woman who contacted me. It's got to be at least 12, 13 years ago by now, because I was living myself in Woburn. So this was after.
Once you had returned.
Once I had returned, we moved. Eventually, ended up in Woburn. What is that?
The dishwasher.
Okay. And I remember this story so much because it had to have been before Devin was born, because we were still smoking in the house. I was still smoking in the house. And what? Smoking in the house?
Yeah.
But the only place we smoked was the bathroom, which was like down a long hallway. Lorraine, you probably remember. But it was down like a hallway.
Okay.
So it was kind of like not part of the rest of the house. And so if it was cold outside, you didn't want to go outside, you would just go into the bathroom, you would smoke in the bathroom. And I remember taking notes on this woman's story, like frantically, and smoking cigarettes while she was talking. Because she was just pop, she just wanted to get it out to me. So this woman was from Everett, Massachusetts. And she had a brother who was extremely irresponsible. And no matter how hard she tried, like, he just, like, had his own spirit to him. Like, he wasn't malicious. There wasn't anything, like, ill intent about it. He just was like, you know what? This is my life. I'm going to do what I want with my life. And, you know, if he was there for you, like, if he was there, he would give you the world. But it was just, like, getting him places.
Okay.
You know? And the one thing that he seemed to try the hardest with was with her little boy. And I remember the little boy's name was Charlie. Like, I always remember that about the story. The boy's name was Charlie.
Okay.
And so Charlie thought his uncle was like his world, right? He loved him. Like, he played with him more than everyone else. Like, he was just like the typical like uncle that you absolutely like look forward to seeing all the time.
Sure. I got one of those.
You do? What's his name?
Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
Oh, and Uncle Ronald. Yeah. And Uncle Lenny and Uncle Mark.
Okay, so you got good uncles.
I got good
You got
uncles,
it. Whatever. I get it. I get the point. So see, now I gotta focus back on my story. So, Christmas was coming up, and she was having her big Christmas party, and she begged him, like, don't blow it off, because half the time he didn't show up, half the time he showed up and he was late, or da-da-da. She's like, like, Charlie really wants to see you. He wants to do Christmas Eve. He wants you to help him get the cake, the cookies out and everything like that. Like, you need to be at my house on Christmas Eve for the party. And you just stay. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, sis. Don't worry. I'll do it. It's like, come on, just promise me. Okay, whatever. I'll promise you. I'm going to do it. Don't worry about it. And so Christmas Eve came, and Uncle wasn't there. Her brother didn't show up. And, like, his clock is, like, ticking away. It's like, what the hell? Didn't show up. Doesn't show up. So you can probably guess what happened.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up, ever. Why?
Because he died.
Because he was dead! He died.
Look at me.
Huh?
Don't look at me.
I want to look at you.
Look at the camera.
Okay. So he died. And he wasn't able to be there that night.
Right.
And she was getting more and more frustrated. But then, like, Christmas Day, the police came. He had gotten into a car accident on the way to the house. And he had died. And, of course, she felt absolutely horrible about it. And so, Christmas was really tough, obviously. And then kind of going into that week, like, they had to settle all the accounts. They had to figure out his burial and all the stuff like that. And most of all, Charlie was absolutely devastated. And he kept saying, like, now I'll never get it. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, him and I talked about a special gift. So they were arranging all the funeral arrangements, and she was, like, running wild, doing things. The parents were kind of, like, had moved away, and so she was in charge of pretty much handling all of this stuff. And so every night she would just come home, and it was getting late. She'd have to do it after work, and it was really, really late, and she got home, and she was just completely wiped out, and Charlie and her husband were already asleep by the time she had gotten home, and she just, like, crashed on the couch, and she noticed, because this is a while ago, she noticed the blinking light on her answering machine. Right? So she went to check it, and it was her brother's voice. And it was like, hey, sis, what's going on? Just want to let you know, Charlie's present is in the closet. It's under some clothes. You're going to have to dig a little bit for it, but just make sure he gets it, okay? All right, I love you, okay? All right, bye. And that was it. And she was like, what the hell? Like, so she tried to play with it. She tried to get it to play again. It wouldn't play again. It wouldn't play again at all.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
So next day she goes into the apartment, and she's digging through the closet, and she finds a wrapped present, right? And there's no way she would have found it otherwise. It was completely under everything. I don't know why he decided to hide it again for himself even. Goes in, and it's a present for Charlie. Brings it home. Charlie rips it open. He doesn't even need to know what it is. He just rips it open and automatically knows that it's this one of those remote-controlled sports cars. And so he got his present.
From his dead uncle.
Yeah,
so, I got goosebumps.
Is that a true story? Do you think that's a true story?
True story with a little bit of the facts rearranged.
What do you mean?
I say it was his birthday and not Christmas.
You said, why would you say it's his birthday and not Christmas?
I don't know. I just have a feeling.
You just have a feeling? So you're saying I'm lying? It's kind of like I'm telling a lie, but it's kind of close to the truth. Like it didn't happen to me, but it happened to a friend of mine kind of thing? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. You ready for your next one?
Sure.
Okay.
All
right.
This is titled The Bright Light and the Calm Watchdog.
Wait, I have a question.
Sure.
Should I just allow like that one eyebrow to be hanging on the camera, or should I be out completely?
No, you should be in here with me.
Okay.
Because I don't want the focus solely on me.
Okay.
Okay. This was posted online in 2013.
You're supposed to read it as if like this is a story I'm coming up with from my head.
Oh. You didn't tell me that.
Whatever, just go.
Jeez, Louise.
Louise isn't here. I
had an unusual visitor on Christmas Day, 2008. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't Santa Claus passing by my house in Bloomington, Indiana. Oh, Indiana.
I was going to say.
The day started in
There's
a
like
typical
three
fashion.
from Indiana in there, by the way.
That's because Indiana's a spooky place.
Crazy.
The day started a typical fashion with the opening of gifts around the Christmas tree. I served an early Christmas dinner for family and friends, and everybody departed by 5 p.m. Except my sister and brother-in-law, who lived with me. They were sleeping in a bedroom at the end of the hall with the door open. At 5 p.m., that's a little strange. I went into my bedroom with my dog, Toby, and shut the door securely. I was just dozing off when I heard the latch on my bedroom door open. I waited several seconds for my sister or brother-in-law to ask me whatever they came to say. but there was no other sound. It was almost 7 p.m., so my bedroom was pitch black. These people go to bed really early. I had left lights on in the kitchen and the bathroom, and there were lots of Christmas lights in the living room. So the hallway would have been lit pretty well. I would have been able to see whoever it was by just lifting my head.
Lifting your whore? That makes it a lot sexier of a story. But go ahead, continue.
Much more interesting.
Yes.
I pushed the blankets down and lifted my head from the pillow. But just as I would have been able to see who was in the doorway, an extremely bright light hit me right in the eyes. I shielded my eyes and yelled, "Turn out the bleeping light! You're blinding me!" The light immediately disappeared, and I heard the bedroom door latch close. My bedside light is a touch lamp, so I tapped it on and looked around the room. There was no one in the bedroom except me and Toby. Toby jumped off the bed and went to the... Don't know. Since Toby was already up, I decided to let him outside and see what sis or brother-in-law needed. When I went into the hallway, I could see both of them still in bed. I took Toby to the living room and let him outside, and there was nobody there either. So who opened my bedroom door and turned the spotlight on my face? Like most people, the thoughts of loved ones are always close at hand during the holiday season. But when I first went to lie down, I was thinking how happy I was that my small family had enjoyed a pleasant Christmas. But it would have been so much better if my mother and brother had still been alive to share it with us. I would like to think it was my brother's spirit stopping by to say Merry Christmas. I still think of you too. I just want to blind you a little bit. I haven't been able to debunk this strange event.
Did you add that blind you a little bit part? Okay.
I haven't been able to debunk this strange event or find any rational explanation. I'm half afraid that my heart stopped during my sleep, and the light I saw was the bright light people report during their near-death experiences. Leave it to me to see the stairway to heaven and ruin my chance at eternal paradise by saying, "Turn out the effing light." I've made a mental note that if I ever see another bright light to clean up my language, just in case. Love, Scarlett.
Love, Scarlett.
I'm going to say
real
fake.
Or no, you say that one's fake?
I'm going to say fake.
All right.
And actually,
is it because what?
We have a Christmas story, a Christmas-based story. We do.
What is it?
There was a haunting last year around this time that we experienced, and there was a kiss left on a mirror.
Really? Tell that story.
We were at a friend's house.
By the way, that sounds wicked hot, but it's not. Go ahead.
We were at a friend's house who asked us to check out some paranormal activity that she had been experiencing. And while we were there, we were with a medium or a psychic medium. And she had felt a presence very strongly in a certain bedroom. And after she said that she had cleared the bedroom of whatever was there, Chris and I went in there, and we were taking pictures, and came out of the bedroom. We were all in the living room talking. Nobody else had gone in the bedroom. We went back into the bedroom several moments later to, I think, pick up, the cameras and the recording equipment and stuff. We noticed there were lip marks on the mirror.
Right.
In the shape of a kiss that weren't there before. And we looked at, pictures that we'd taken of the room.
Right.
So something had visited us.
And we had, we looked at all the pictures and tried to analyze, or broke it down, and we couldn't find anything on
there was
that mirror
nothing.
at all.
No.
And then there was sparkles on the windowsill, stuff like that. Remember that?
Yeah, there were sparkles on the windowsill.
Yeah, and that thank heavens that haunting, which is our only private residence we've ever done.
Yeah.
So if you want it, it's actually a cool episode. What?
Besides my own.
Right, besides your own. If you want to know more about that, you can go to our archives. And I believe it's called Natalie's First Time.
Oh, is
the
it?
The episode title is that. Because I figured, people will be like, oh, that's hot. But no one really listened to it. But but it was out there.
Just goes to show you how
just goes to show you. Or people that's not Natalie's first time. She's done just about everything. Merry Christmas, an insult for you. Wrapped.
Thanks.
All right. Ready for the next story?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
All right, what time are we running at?
I have no idea. How long have you been doing it? It's 11:17.
Okay. So I've got a definite not real story and then another debatable one.
Do the debatable one.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Then we'll end with the ghost story.
Okay.
Okay, so this one actually, because we put up episode 51, and we called for this, a man sent this story to me about something that happened to his grandfather.
Okay.
And they now have made it a tradition in their house. So, they're Italian. They were from Massachusetts. They're from Massachusetts. So, I still get a lot of Massachusetts.
For sure.
A lot of Masshole connections still listening to me. And they had, their grandmother had passed away. His grandmother had passed away. And they were having Christmas Eve at the father's house. It was the first Christmas Eve without the grandmother. She had always hosted it, matriarch, that kind of thing. She had always hosted it, and everyone was having a great time. But it was always kind of like looming in the background, this idea of like, she's not here. She's not here with us. And she would have loved this, Grandma would have loved this, Grandma would have loved that.
Sure, as we all tend to do.
And so, you know, one of the things that they had joked about was like, who's going to clean up? Right? The big joke was like, who's going to clean up? Like, Grandma always cleaned up, da-da-da-da. And it was kind of one of those things where, and you'll totally connect to this part of it, she would clean, and while she was doing the dishes, all of the younger girls, so like his generation, like his sisters and cousins and stuff like that, would listen to her, and she would tell like tales of like the old school tales of like when she first came here, her, you know, like 'cause she was a second generation, like.
Sure.
And so they really missed that, and they were like, but they were joking about it too, right? Like there was like, oh, remember this story? So they remembered the story. So Grandma had done what she was supposed to do, which was to pass on these stories. So everyone leaves, right? Everyone helps clean up. Everyone leaves. The man decides to go to sleep. He can't sleep. He's restless. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about just everything and how amazing it was, but how he misses her. And so he decides to just kind of like watch television. So he's just kind of watching television. He hears clinging in the kitchen. And he can kind of see the kitchen from where he is in the living room. And he looks, and there's his wife doing the dishes. Now, there's no dishes to be done, right? But he sees her from behind her figure. He hears water running. He hears the clinging of dishes. And she's just kind of like, he can hear like even like a little bit of a hum, like back in the old days. And he just, like, he says her name. And she kind of just turns, and as she turns, she disappears. Like before she can fully turn. But she's smiling. He can tell that she's smiling. And so that only happened once, right? And this was a few years ago. But they say now every year they do the dishes. He still hosts it every year at that house. Like everyone comes over and does it for him. But he still hosts it. But every year they leave a dirty dish out in the hopes that she'll come back and like clean that dirty dish. Yeah.
I love that. That was a great story. No, don't turn the camera on me just because I'm crying. That was a good one.
I thought you would cry with that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was holding that back. I was waiting for the big release of that one.
That was a really good one.
So, have I manipulated Natalie? Is this a true story or is it not a true story?
If you manipulated me, I'm going to kick you in your balls.
There you go. What did they say there? Turn out the effing light.
Turn out the effing light.
So, I'm going to do one more story.
Wait, I've got one more while you prepare that
one.
one.
Okay.
Wait, let me compose myself.
Compose yourself. But I also want to say, like, we're reaching the end, so if there's anyone that wants to share a ghost story of yours or to ask us any questions or anything like that, but especially to share a story of yours, whether it's fact or whether it's fiction, now's the time. Just kind of like comment on it, and we'll use this advanced technology to bring you on with us. Better?
Better.
Okay.
So, this had to have been about 10 years ago. And there was this woman who was recently divorced. And she had one older teenager daughter still living at home with her. And she was going through a really rough time emotionally. And it was her first Christmas in her home without a husband, but with, one child still living there. She'd had, 3 kids.
She'd had 3 kids?
She'd had 3 kids.
What happened to the other kids?
Just older, moved out. But one still left at home.
Okay.
So she was going through an emotional roller coaster. It's Christmas.
Empty nest.
Exactly. But also I'm going through divorce. And so I needed, as we all do when we go through that kind of life-altering event, we kind of transform ourselves, or we go through some sort of, rebirth, if you will.
Right.
So she was in that time. And it was Christmas night, or Christmas Eve night, I should say.
I'm going to interrupt just once again to reiterate, Tinder, if you want to be our sponsor, feel free.
What?
I don't know. This sounded like this was going like towards Tinder.
Why?
I don't know. Like
no
you're
Tinder.
saying. Oh, okay. All right.
No,
go ahead.
this is before Tinder was.
This is pre-Tinder. Okay.
Pre-Tinder. So it was Christmas Eve night.
What did people do before Tinder?
They had a Christmas tree. They had a real Christmas tree up, and they had decorated it, just a couple of nights previous. And they were sleeping. It was the middle of the night, probably close to 2 or 3 in the morning. And all of a sudden, as loud as can be, one of the Christmas ornaments happened to be a bell, started going off, ringing, as loud as like somebody was vigorously shaking it. Both of them jumped out of bed and met at the Christmas tree on opposite sides of the house and met at the Christmas tree, and the bell was just stopping.
Don't look at me, look at the camera.
Was just stopping ringing. And they couldn't explain it. It was inexplicable. There was no window open. This is Florida, so it's still 85 degrees out, so you don't...
And there's a real tree?
Real tree, right. Well, some people do brave that.
They do, actually.
And they were never able to explain it, but when asked about it and what they felt, the person said that they thought that it was their grandmother, that they felt their presence there, kind of reassuring them. That bell was reassurance that, hey, we've got your back during this transformation, and you're going to be fine. And that moment allowed that woman to propel herself into a new life. So an uplifting Christmas ghost story.
And that woman became...
Well, she
Mother
said
Teresa. Like,
no,
what?
no, no, there's no.
And that was Judge Judy.
It was only 10 years ago, so there's not really been too much. But the woman has had a successful life.
Oh, okay, good.
Since remarried, and within a successful career. So, I mean, she's definitely taken what was a really tragic situation and turned it around. All from a bell.
I know. Oh well, you obviously tell we're going for different types of ghost stories here.
Yeah,
although I think the one with the older people was uplifting.
It was.
Yeah. So, I just remember that I have a Christmas ornament story in Haunted Objects.
Do you want me to go get it?
No, I don't think anyone cares.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we'll read it later then.
Okay.
So here's my last story. So I had originally wanted to write just a straight horror story, ghost story, goblin story, spooky story for tonight's event.
Okay.
But I didn't really have time. Things got pretty hectic. Holidays, you know how it is.
Holidays are hectic.
And so I had a few ideas. Like one of the ideas, like I want to do some kind of messed up version of Gift of the Magi.
Which I don't know about.
They each give away something of themselves to get a gift for the other person. But each of them...
Oh, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
but each of them ends up giving away something that
correlates with
with what the other person gave up, and it's supposed to be about love, or like, don't trust women. One or the other. I don't know sure what the answer is. And then it was like, and I couldn't really fit like what I wanted to do with that. And then the second one I wanted to do was a story as I'm wrapping presents, right? About, and you kind of poo-pooed this, so I didn't go ahead with it. Because you were like, you and your daughter, Lexi, were both like, that's a dumb idea. But I thought it was cool. It was kind of like, yes, it was kind of, it was an old Twilight Zone episode. It was a play on an old Twilight Zone episode from the 80s, like that version of the Twilight Zone, where they have the guy's trying to figure out some kind of math problem or some kind of physics problem. And he says, I'd sell my soul to the devil for the solution. And the devil shows up. And the devil says, I'll give you 3 chances, and you have to give me something I cannot do or a question I cannot answer. It's a really great episode. So it kind of was like going to be on that, like somewhere between that and like The Devil Went Down to Georgia, about this guy being able to wrap anything, any present whatsoever, with only 3 pieces of tape. But I couldn't figure out the hook, because then I was like, okay, so what's the thing at the end that he's able to jump him on? Is it like love? He says, like, wrap true love, and the guy can't wrap true love. Like, hate or something. I couldn't come up with it, so I decided to come up with something else instead.
Okay, hit me.
Oh. Okay, give me a name.
Sarah.
Oh, I said it as a boy, but okay, we'll go with Sarah.
Okay, wait, I can do a boy name.
No, dude.
Peter.
You can do all the religious things. Did you go to church today?
It is Christmas.
Okay, I'll go with Sarah, because I'm not sure how the story actually might be a little better with a girl.
It's always better with a girl.
Sarah was feeling especially sexy that night. No. We just sent a big... I didn't say it was a little kid, but it is. Sarah's a little girl.
Okay.
This was the best year that Sarah could remember. For the first time, she felt like she was really understanding everything in school. Her parents seemed to be giving her more responsibility and letting her do more. And she knew exactly what she wanted for Christmas, and she was pretty sure she was going to get it. Sarah was at that weird age. Did I say her age?
No.
No. She was 11.
Okay.
So she was right at that age where people start to tell her that Santa's not real. She kind of knows Santa's not real, but she doesn't want to let go of it.
We don't utter those words in this house.
Sorry. She was confused over whether or not Santa was real. So when her mom put her to bed on Christmas Eve, she decided to give it one last shot and ask.
Where was her father? Why didn't her father put her to bed too?
Her father didn't love her.
Sorry.
Her father was off with the maid. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I'm trying to alternate between sexy and scary.
She's 11.
That's why her part's not sexy, you weirdo. Can I get through my story?
Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, feel free to keep interrupting. That was funny. Mom, is Santa real? What do you think? And I know you're going to hate this, but she touched her nose like that. Natalie hates that, but it's part of the story. And it's not just part of the story to aggravate you.
Okay.
I give her a little twitch on the nose. What do you think, hon? She's like, everyone tells me in school it's not. And I'm pretty sure it's not. But you know what I'm going to do? Tonight I'm going to wait up. And I'm going to catch Santa. And I'm going to stay up all night. Sarah, don't you know? If you wait up, he won't come. You have to be asleep for him to get here. I got it, Mom. I'm going to pretend to be asleep. Now, Sarah noticed her mom's eyes getting kind of glassy. Her mom said, no, Sarah. No matter what you do not wait up for Santa tonight. Mom, but Sarah, listen. Do not wait up for Santa. Just go to bed. Understand? Yeah, Mom, I get it. And the mom left. And as she left, she gave her one last look. And that kind of knowing thing. And Sarah's like, don't worry, Mom, I'm not going to. You can trust an 11-year-old. Her mom put out the light and left. And Sarah lied in bed. And she decided that she was going to wait up for Santa anyway. Dun, dun, dun. So she did everything to keep herself awake. So she started thinking about, because now it became like a challenge. Like, she was pretty sure Santa wasn't real. But she was determined to actually catch her parents.
In a lie.
In a lie, right? So, she crept downstairs. It was like 11 o'clock, crept downstairs. And all the presents were under the tree.
Okay.
And she was pretty sure. She knew. Dude, that was my parents. There was no snow bells, no little jingle bells, no little hoof prints, nothing like that. She was pretty sure it was her parents. So she went back to bed. So she was trying to fall asleep, and now she couldn't fall asleep because she kind of hyped herself up and everything. And so she heard the clock downstairs ringing midnight as the gunshots go off in the background.
It's fireworks.
I know, it's Bonita Springs. They put fireworks for everything.
Hispanics celebrate Christmas Eve as their Christmas, and that's the way they do it.
Okay, so she decided. Boom! She heard the bells ringing. She heard the clock ringing, and she heard a pounding on her roof.
Disco techno music.
And so she looked out of her window like this, trying to tilt her head. And she could see shadows were on the roof, but she couldn't see anything specific. And so she ran downstairs. And right as she ran downstairs, she noticed that there was a man standing in her living room. His back turned to her, wearing a red suit and a red hat. And she freaked. And she screamed, "Santa?" And the man turned around. And his whole body was there, a bowl full of jelly, only there was no face. It was literally just a hat, kind of like hovering over there, and glowing red eyes.
Ew.
And she was completely frozen in her tracks, and then screamed. And of course, the scream woke up her parents, who came running down. And her mom grabbed Sarah and started screaming, "No, no, no!" And Dad, who was away from the maid at this point, was doing the same thing. He just fell to his knees and started weeping and started crying and started weeping and started crying. And then, even though there was no mouth, the thing in the Santa suit began to speak. "You know the story." And Sarah was completely confused. She didn't know whether he was talking about Rudolph, whether he was talking about the weird one with the penguin that I don't even quite understand why there's a penguin there. "You know the story." And the mom said, "No, no, please, please, no." It's like, "You know what you promised me." It's like, "No, no, please." "Tonight, she comes back to me. Your Christmas wish, 1 year with the child you could not have. But now, 1 year is up, and she comes back to me." And almost instantaneously, Sarah was in Santa's arms. He was holding her hands like this and walking back towards the chimney. And the mom said, "No, please. I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing. Whatever you do, please, just do not take her." And those eyes seemed to squint right at Sarah's mother. "Oh, she's not alone. Your wish was 1 year of a daughter that you couldn't have for your soul. You're coming too." And instantaneously the mom was at the Santa's other hand, and the two of them walked into the dead fireplace, which now completely erupted. And Sarah said, "Mom, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what's happening." And they both started to feel their flesh begin to burn and feel their bodies start to move down. "It's okay, Sarah. At least we'll be together." And she touched her nose. The end.
Okay, it was pretty good.
No, dude, you were so... Can I just say, do the face you were doing during that entire thing? You were like this.
I was confused, yeah.
Why were you... Whoa. Why were you confused?
Well, because what the hell?
The mom...
Wait, time out.
Wait,
Time out. The
no.
mom made a deal with the devil Santa.
They couldn't, no, just with the devil. They couldn't have a child, so the mom, set her soul for 1 year with a child.
Right.
And she did it on Christmas. It was like a Christmas wish, so it was Christmas, it was midnight, and so the demon came back to take the daughter back and to claim his soul.
Like, the mom acted like she was surprised.
Well, aren't they always when they sell their soul? They're like,
and why would she be like, "No, just go to sleep"? Was she hoping he would take her soul while she was sleeping? Like, that would be better?
No, she was hoping that, that it wouldn't show up. Like, if something were to happen, or that it would take her, that she could still be there and stuff like that. If I had written this would all be part of the backstory, I guess. Wow. You're so discouraging. All right.
Good job. Wonderful.
So, wait, I want to get that applause on. All right. So, there you go.
Merry effing Christmas.
Merry effing Christmas. Turn that effing light off.
It is time for me to go
It is.
play with the elves.
So, before we leave, are we going to say what was real and what wasn't real?
Yeah, you gotcha.
Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So, first story, which was the story of the driving back to Boston. Or driving from totally true, totally happened.
That's amazing.
Christmas 1999, so 19 years ago. 100% happened. Simone,
the jury's out on that one. I
but
have no idea.
It was presented as if it was real.
It was presented as if it really happened.
Presented as if it really happened. The story of the Christmas present hidden. Natalie got it right on the head. It is a true story, but it's about a birthday and not about...
The only reason I know it is because you either wrote about this somewhere or you've told me this story before.
I did. I even referenced it in episode 51. So if you're watching even though I didn't tell the story in episode 51, but it's actually on our website, www.trippingonlegends.wordpress.com. It's called something in little cars. It's like Little Dreams of Little Cars or something. Yeah. Little Ghosts of Little Cars or something like that. Excellent. So your second one about the light. The effing light.
It was presented as though it really happened to Scarlett. In 2013. Or 2008.
2008. Excellent. Grandma doing the dishes. Totally made up.
Totally made up?
Totally made
You
up.
could have kicked me nuts for that. You totally just played with my emotions.
Totally made that. I totally made that one up.
Oh, you did a really good job with that one.
Thank you.
That one you deserve a round of applause, but also a kick in the ass for that one.
Okay, so kicking the balls followed by a round of applause. Excellent. Okay. And
the bell, totally real.
Totally real?
Totally real.
Totally real? Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Happened to a family member of mine.
Did they tell it to you tonight?
No, this is a story that they've told a couple of times.
They've told a couple of times? Mm-hmm. What family member?
No, not sharing that.
Will you share it to me? They can't see you. Who is it?
I'm not.
Whisper it. Will you share it to me off camera? Will you share it to me off camera?
Sure.
Okay, good. So, that is our Christmas episode. We'd like to make it a tradition, so if you stick around for another 365 days, we can do this again. What do you think?
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
Jury's
out. Jury's out. Much like whether these stories are. Now you have to lean in for this last part. Okay. So, Merry Christmas from Tripping on Legends. Happy New Year, and or whatever holiday that you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate any holiday, I just hope you're having a good day. I am Christopher Balzano. Wait. Let's do everything first. If you're on this Facebook right now, you know how to get in touch with our Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter. I am at Spooky Balzano.
I'm at Nene, my friend.
Our Instagram is Spooky Tripping, which is also our email, which is spookytripping@gmail.com. Sorry, those gunshots are throwing me off. They're throwing me off.
Moron, they're fireworks.
They're throwing me off anyway. Anything else? Like 3 weeks before we are at the
UFO thing,
Southwest Florida UFO conference. You can follow the links on our website to.
This will be my first time going to anything like this.
And if you want to give us some money so we can get like a banner or something, that would be amazing. Merry Christmas! It's a Christmas miracle. Give us money so we can have merch and stuff.
For merch. I mean,
why not?
Okay.
Take advantage of.
Yeah, you can try.
I'm Christopher Balzano.
I'm Natalie Crist.
And here's hoping all your holidays
are merry
and legendary.
Sure. Merry and legendary. That's a good one.
Legendary.
Good
Good evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.